Hello, everyone. My name is Gosia Kowalska, and I'm a Senior Group Product Manager at Atlassian. Atlassian is an Australian company that builds products supporting software development processes. Our best-known products are Jira Software, Confluence, and Bitbucket. I'm going to share my experience in leading product teams. I'm also going to give you some tips on how to empower your teams to build great products. Let me use my personal story as an illustration. A while ago, I've been part of a transformation process. We've taken engineering teams on a journey to become product engineering teams. The difference may seem subtle, but in fact, it's quite significant. I'll share our successes, failures, and lessons learned. When I joined the team, I was the second woman in R&D and the first leader in product management for our European site. With amazing engineers on the team, we were addressing some gnarly technical problems. However, we were releasing our products rarely. Product direction was unclear, and it was evident that we could be more efficient. This is when we've started our journey towards a product organization. What should be the first step? It's always good to start with the basics. Number one, in any product management book, focus on customer. Working closely with customers and making sure we understand customer perspective was pivotal to changing teams' approach to product development. It was also extremely motivating for everyone on the team. With complex and technologically challenging B2B products, it's sometimes hard to see the human factor. Every time we interviewed someone who uses our products to solve their problems, it's an eye-opening experience. It's also extremely rewarding. Bringing customers in is easier than you might think. Although in case of mature, complex products, building direct relationships with end users is not quite straightforward. However, in most organizations, there are support teams that talk to customers on a daily basis. Don't underestimate the insights support teams can bring into product development. Make sure you connect your engineering teams with support teams. We do it in Atlassian. Our engineers can always reach out to support to hear about how our customers use our products, what are their challenges, what's unclear. What I personally think is helping the most is that everyone has an opportunity to talk to customers. This is not the privilege reserved to top management or product managers. On the contrary, product managers often do not want to go to the customer interview without an engineer. Many times, whole teams have worked directly with clients to understand how organizations use the tools we are developing. As you bring customers into the picture, remember to do it with empathy. It's not just a checkbox. Yes, I've spoken to a few folks. Done. Relationships built on empathy allow us to understand the impact our work has on people. Listen to your customers. Try to understand their unique context and perspective. Don't assume anything. accept their emotions. Oftentimes, they can be angry. Focus on the customer rather than your own ambitions or goals. By building these deeper person-to-person connections, you will help your teams understand customer problems they are here to solve. Throughout the transformation process, we have an abandoned project-centered approach and moved towards product-centered approach. Of course, we still work on projects. However, we do it in a context of broader product strategy. Project is about scope, budget, and schedule, while product is about vision and market success. This is where the product team comes into the picture. The team plays a key role in fulfilling this vision and achieving success. But what do I mean by empowered teams? Early days on our transformation journey, different crafts, designers, product managers, and engineers, as well as whole engineering teams, work in isolation from one another. There was no common goal. At the rare occasions when teams were coming together, for example, at the time of product release, there was quite a bit of confusion. To empower your teams, you have to make sure to remove the silos. It's particularly important for product managers to work closely with engineers and designers. In Atlassian, we have a concept of a triad: product manager, engineering team lead, and a designer work closely together to define customer problems, prioritize them, and find the best solutions. An empowered team is self-sufficient, autonomous. The team is not a group of engineers, a group of product managers, or a group of designers. A team is a group of people who are able to deliver value to customers together. It's good to build teams around a problem space that they are responsible for. Sometimes it can be an entire product. Sometimes an important part of user experience. For example, performance at scale, or tools supporting agile transformation. You can choose different models. What is important is the ownership. Your teams have to have impact. They have to be able to make the decisions independently. And they need to see how the work is helping resolve customer problems and achieve business outcomes. The team should also be diverse in terms of skill. Only a diverse team is capable of solving complex problems. I have already mentioned a triad: product manager, engineering lead, and a designer. A small leadership team within a product team. But it's also important for a team to include different skills. For example, backend and front-end engineers. Hardly any problems can be solved, any complex user experiences can be solved only by backend engineers or only by front-end engineers. You also have to make sure you have a balance in terms of seniority levels. You need the right mix of seniors and juniors. Make sure your teams are durable. The team is responsible for a domain or a persona, not a project. Some of our teams have worked together for 5 years or even longer. Establishing a diverse and autonomous team is an important first step. But it's not enough for teams to be truly empowered. You need to make sure your teams collaborate over a problem space. But what do I mean when I say truly collaborate? There should be no over-defense approach. Product manager is not owning the product. Designers aren't there to draw wireframes and just hand them over to the engineers to code. Engineers must be included in the process of defining customer problem. They need a chance to talk to customers. Solve customer problems together. Embrace different perspectives to come up with the best solution. Remember, your engineers are an important source of innovation. They know the latest technology, they know what's possible and what's not. By using engineers only to code, you're only using half or maybe even less of their potential. If you want to motivate your engineers, give them an opportunity to innovate. For example, by granting 20% of their time for innovation or holding regular hackathons. This is how many great product ideas have been born. All right, so now we have independent, self-sufficient teams. It would be foolish to tell them exactly what to do. To empower your teams, give them goals to achieve. Give them a mountain to climb. Don't give them a list of features to build. The teams that I work with build solutions for enterprise customers. That's why they have goals around application stability and performance. What should we do to handle 3 times the current scale? Or goals around accessibility. What should we do to make our products more accessible? Setting up goals is an important motivational factor, but it would not be complete if we did not measure results of our work. Make sure to define signals that can indicate if the customer problem has been solved. Let me refer back to the examples that I've just shared. So, how will we know that we've improved application performance? We want Jira boards for our top 10 customers to open in less than 3 seconds. How will we know that our products are more accessible? We want results in the external accessibility audit to be 30% better than compared to last year's. These are just examples. One way of defining the goals and measures of success is the OKR framework. For those of you who are not familiar with this methodology, OKRs stand for objectives and key results. Each department and team sets goals and measure of success that align with the goals of the entire company. At the end of each month, teams share progress towards their goals. At the end of each quarter, there is a company-wide communication summarizing how we are tracking as a company. This is more or less the quarterly OKR report for the entire organization. You can see some greens, you can see some yellows, and you can see some reds. Greens are on track, yellows are at risk. Not everything is great there. Greens are clearly off track. If you openly share where you're making progress and where you are off track, it's easier to quickly diagnose where a rescue plan is needed. This is also how you can empower your teams to collaborate where help may be most required. All the guidance that I have shared so far is based on a solid foundation. Our company values. Values guide all we do as an organization, and we use them in all possible contexts. Define your values to set a framework for all your actions. However, to truly empower your teams, you have to make sure that your values are applied in practice. Let me give you a few examples of how you can do it on the basis of Atlassian values. Make sure you keep your customers informed about product decisions. Be open with them. Also, when some of these decisions can be disappointing. You can hold regular AMA sessions with some of the key leaders to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. Make values interview an obligatory stage in hiring process for every position. Make sure everyone who joins the team is aligned on the values. Our values also helped us survive and adapt to remote working in times of pandemic. We still uphold most of our ceremonies. A culture built on solid foundation is resistant to radical situations, such as sudden lockdowns. If you want to build an empowered organization, you have to accept that there will be failures. I've experienced quite a few of them. Every bump in the road was an invaluable lesson learned. My first lesson was that although company values constitute a solid foundation, they can also be interpreted in many different ways. My favorite example is open company, no bullshit. It can easily be taken to an extreme. This is why it's important to get crisp on your values and define specific behaviors that you encourage. As much as open company means openly sharing your perspective, you should never do it in an offensive or irrespectful manner. And this has to be clear to your team. My second lesson is about keeping the balance between autonomy and strategy. I strongly believe in teams' autonomy. However, it's the company strategy that overrules the loss of autonomy. It can mean that sometimes you have to sacrifice what the team was working on or pivot the team's mission, and it can be quite drastic. These decisions are never easy and require empathetic leadership, close collaboration, and open communication with your teams. My third lesson is about setting goals. Setting your goals is not a one-off annual event. It's a constant OKR planning process. Especially in a large organization, setting goals can be truly challenging. If you strive to define perfect, measurable goals, I have to disappoint you. In most cases, it's impossible. You have to be prepared to accept imperfect goals or goals that are difficult to work through with the teams, that are difficult to explain. But your main focus should also be always be on setting the right direction. Be prepared for a constant dialogue with your teams, as well as continuous process of revisiting your goals and measures of success. This is never ending. You can always do better, and you should always try. So what should be your path to empowering product teams? Start with the company values. Define them and get crisp. Establish a close, empathetic relationship with your customers. Make sure you build self-sufficient teams that define the best way to achieve their goals and work together on a problem. Include engineers at every stage of product development and give them space to innovate. They are a true source of never-ending inspiration. With these few things, you can build, with these few pieces of advice, you can build empowered product teams. And I can guarantee that these teams will build great products used by millions of users around the world every day. Thank you so much and goodbye. Have a nice day.